And now let's turn to Myles for our chart of the day.
Today, the chart of the day is all about old people and how many old people there really are. This chart comes from friend of the program, Torsten Slok, over at Deutsche Bank. What it shows is the evolution of people in the world under the age of 5, which that number is about flat, projected to be flat over the next century at about 600 million people or so, versus the number of folks who are older than 65. So just this year, for the first time ever, we now have more people alive today on the planet Earth over the age of 65 than people under the age of 5. And the UN, as we see in the chart, is forecasting that the number of seniors is set to grow to over 2 billion by the end of this century, while the number of basically babies, toddlers, is going to be flat. Now, the problem in terms of a traditional economics modeling, traditional economic discussion right now is, well, the growth is younger people. Younger people are consuming, they're learning, they're growing their own families. They have to buy things like cars and homes and stuff to put in those homes. They have to send the kids through school. They have to pay for the kids to do activities, so on and so forth. Modern capitalism, as all of you parents know it out there. But if we only have old people who take up more resources, they're expensive to care for, expensive to keep alive, they don't spend as much money, they are rent seekers by and large, they want to accumulate assets, not necessarily spend money to get new things, it's kind of a problem in terms of the overall growth trajectory. The demographic profile, this is the Larry Summers secular stagnation type situation. Demographic profile globally isn't that great. A lot of this is the aging population in China. We've seen a preview of that in Japan. We're starting to see it here in the U.S. China, of course, has 4 times as many people as we have in the U.S., 5 times as many people. And it's kind of an overhang if we want to look at the world through the lens that we've seen the world over the last 80 years, at least from an economic standpoint.
Well, as you noted, we have been getting a preview of this from Japan, where adult diapers outsell children's diapers, I believe, for some time now. So, I mean, it's definitely happening. What if this is just a reset? And we don't need this many people, and we have global warming.
Malthusian over here.
And we just kind of have to go through this process. It's going to be bumpy, but in the end, we will all work out.
That's not very great for everyone who's alive right now. It sounds like it's going to suck. I think what's interesting
it might suck.
What's interesting about the Japanese experience is the Abenomics program that's really been undertaken in earnest over the last I guess it's the 7th year now of Abenomics, which essentially massive fiscal stimulus in that country and monetizing the debt. So the BOJ basically buys all of the debt that's issued by Japan's government. Markets have been broadly accepting of this idea. We've seen a huge uptick in the Japanese female workforce participation rate. We've seen workforce participation across age groups in Japan go up. And I think by a number of traditional economic frameworks, you would say Abenomics has been a huge success. Now, what's the global economy if all it is central banks buying up debt and putting people to work through make-work programs? I mean, we're talking about that kind of stuff with MMT here in the U.S. We're talking about that stuff with UBI, a jobs program. All that sort of stuff is in the direction of a Abenomics-style program here in the U.S., but it feels like if you're going to have 2.5 billion people over 65 and you're not having enough people younger than them to replace them, right? If you have 1 child per 2 parents, the math necessarily means there's more parents than children over a long enough time horizon.
Doing my work.
Yeah, you've got 3 kids. Thanks for that. I'm one of 3. Sean is one of 9 or something over there.
One of 5. So my parents did the work. Yep, exactly.
But if this keeps up, then I think it's a massive economic headwind. It's kind of one of those things where you say, put it away, think about it in 30 years, but we are starting to see the political pressures that this kind of situation puts on economies.
Yeah. I'd like to play the role of Andy Serwer briefly, which is that this is a healthcare trade. And he talks about that a lot.
True.
And so we've also had a number of guests coming in and talking about the healthcare ETF in China, things starting up there. So look, if there's going to be a lot of old people, what do you invest in?
Nursing homes.
Keeping them alive. And nursing homes.
Drugs.
Pharmaceutical giants.
And that's the healthcare trade that's right in there. That is a growth industry.
Which improves why so many companies are now trying to get into the healthcare business one way or another.
I mean, look, the market is forward-looking. The market's not that stupid. These have been winning trades for the last 10 years because people knew this chart was coming. So what's it look like 20 years from now? I don't know, but that's a great starter.
I don't know. We're all going to be robots anyhow, so
But
not
good
sure.
news for all of us. We're going to live forever. So there you go. We'll do this show together for 40 more years.
In our exoskeleton. Shauna Smith, thank you so much for coming by. Great to see you.